All right. Let's see. We got some attendees. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jared Rodriguez. I am a member of the Decisions Training Team, and I'll be answering any questions that you may have. We'll go through together, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability, either demonstrating them on a call or talking through it and having you guys come off mute. Okay, so before I open the floor to everyone else, I do have a pre-submitted question, and we'll go through it together. The pre-submitted question is, let's see. Let me full screen my Slack, and let's see, we're going here. All right, I got a pre-submitted question that says, I have a truth table and I want to load about 1,000 records into that, and I have an Excel file. How can I achieve that? Well, a couple ways to achieve that. This is the prime use case for an external truth table. So I'm just going to kind of give you guys a walkthrough. And Will, if you can you pull up documentation for me on all external truth tables and then just post it in the Slack for me? I mean, not Slack, post it in the public chat here. That'd be great. So, but what we're going to do is we're going to talk about external truth table. So in this scenario, we have to populate a truth table. And now we can do this a myriad of ways. I'm going to make this, let's say manage, move this folder to root, and I'm going to make another folder, make it root, create folder. Oh, I can't make it a root. Interesting. Wait, wrong one. There we go. And then I'm going to say, this is going to be external truth table. All right, so with the external truth table, in the old days, what we'd have to do is we'd have to set up a process where you would have to dynamically generate a normal truth table, but that process took a really long time. So what we've done over the years is we've said, hey, let's create a new type of truth table called the external truth table. What the external truth table does is it sources data from either a file or a data structure. So to answer the pre-submitted question that was proposed, a couple of things that we're going to do. That's it. You want to clarify? Sure, you can go ahead and clarify, Dennis. You have power to talk.
Thanks, Jared. How are you doing?
Doing good.
So the use case that I'm trying to solve is I need to load. Actually, I just found out I need to load about 6,000 records into a truth table, and then I want to update one-offs, add one-offs here and there to that truth table, right? So I think the external truth table, yes, I can load it using Excel file, right? CSV file or whatnot. But then I cannot update that table. Is that correct? I cannot update the table directly.
Yes and no. So if you utilize, so it still fits with the use case. So you can do the external truth table one of two ways. You can do it via just the Excel file, but then you do have that issue where you have to then re-upload the Excel file. Or what you can do is you can create a data structure and decisions that the external truth table reports over, and then you can create yourself an entity action that allows you to add or update those records from that data structure. And then as soon as you update, remove, add, or do whatever you do, then those changes will be reflective in the external truth table automatically. So let me demonstrate that part because I think that's going to be the key for you. So this is going to be external truth table example. And what we're going to do here is I am going to create this truth table. The input data will be, let's see, let me edit this report. And so I'm going to let me create my own data structure. And it's going to be just evaluating different types of people. So I'm going to create what I would like to do, a database structure. I'm going to do this one because it's just nice and simple. So when I do this, this is going to be, I'm going to just call it people for right now. People, and then I got a first name. Then I got a last name. And then I got let's just say date of birth, right? Perfect. All righty, daytime, and we're good. All righty, so now what I can do is with this data structure is I can say, hey, I have some data I want to evaluate with the external truth table. All I have to do is I just go to external truth table, I edit the report, I add, or actually first let me evaluate. I have this person. right? People object. So people, change the data type to people. There we go. Save this. And then what I'm going to do is I can select the data elements, right? This part is very familiar. I'm going to see if the date of birth is, let's say, less than, whatever value. And I'm going to say if the people first name, I'm going to say equals, right? All right, cool. So now the thing that we need to do is now we need to edit that external truth table. And now I have to populate these fields that are given to me with what the date of birth is going to be and what the first name less than equals. And so now what I'll do is I can say, hey, I want to add the user defined type database structure people. And then now I can add those fields that I need to evaluate. And then I'm going to determine which one of these fields relates to the first name part there. So for example, if I want to utilize themes, if I want to utilize this part right here, I'm going to make sure that I list this. Let me grab this. I'm actually going to follow this document in a little bit because this should. People field, first names, I'm going to go to the first name. Following fields are to add these fields, add the column report, select column and change the field to match the required fields. Yep, no, that I get. So over here, zero birth people, let me close and save this. So what I should be having is, yep, no, I know. So I got these, the date of birth, people, DOB, less than, and then I would, yep, I know it needs updating. So now when I go here, I can change this. There we go, just need to refresh. Now I could say, hey, this first name field, this is going to be the property that evaluates the first name equals. Hey, this DOB field here, this is what's going to be the people DOB less than. And so now, and then I could determine, what type of output that, I'm expecting. Let's say it's a Boolean or logical or what have you, I can add it there. So that's the part of setting up the truth table. Now what I'm going to demonstrate is after we've configured, I'm going to go back here so we can see it, these parts that equal what we're evaluating, then we need to determine what our output is going to be or how we get the data inside of it so you can see it. So now, how do we transfer that 1,000 record file into decisions? Because that's going to be the big thing that we need to determine. So what we can do here is I can say, hey, I have a list of, this is going to be creating a small flow called convert Excel data to, my data type. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the CSV to object mapping step. This CSV to object mapping step is very powerful because I can add in an Excel, or I can add in a CSV, or I can have it auto select and determine which one it is. And also I can say, hey, I want you to ignore the first line of this, right? And so the first line typically in spreadsheets are the columns. So you can just ignore those first lines. Now I'm just going to create a really quick spreadsheet that's going to have those fields in it. So we're going to have first name, last name, DOB. And then I'm going to put in, let's say, Jared, Rod. I'm going to put in Will, Clemens, and then DOB. We're just going to make us really young. So 1, 9, and let's go back. I'll say I was born in 2002, young and vibrant. And let's say Will's also was born at a young age. So we'll say 1. We're born the exact same day, but we'll make you a year younger or a year older. All right, perfect. So now I have my data, and so I'm gonna use this as my Excel, my people Excel data. Cool. Now what I'm gonna do is, you probably will be using Microsoft Excel, but you can, once you have that Excel data that you need, you can just export it. So I'm gonna export it as a CSV. You can do it as an Excel. And now I have my data. And so what's gonna happen is when I configure this, you'll notice that I'm gonna set this as a constant. And now you'll notice once I select that data here, I'm gonna go to my sheet CSV, right? What this step does is it takes in that file data and it says, okay, let's spit this out into a decisions data type that we need to create. And so what this does is it just says, hey, let's go ahead, transform that data. How it does this is there's this thing called the show item mapping editor. And what the show item mapping editor does is it allows to say, hey, what's the first row of your fields, right? And since, right, my field only has, or my Excel sheet only has 2 fields, this goes all the way to 100. I think there's a developer ticket to increase the value of this so it can go beyond 99. But right now the field max is 99. And so now all I need to do is I need to say, hey, let me evaluate that input and say, how do I want to handle those first fields? My first field is the first name. My second field is the last name. And my third field is the date of birth. So now notice that I have no results right here. And the reason why I have no results right here is because I did not select an output type on this section right here. So what I need to do is I need to select the output data type over here. And then once I select this output data type, then you'll notice it will tell me that I have a list of people that's going to output from that. Now what I can do is I can go back to the show item mapping editor step. I can then see how I have this one item here and it says people, my composite type. Now I can build my data and then I can say, hey, I want to go ahead and drag field 1. This is going to be a text value. So I'm going to say, hey, this goes to first name. Field 2 is another text value. I'm going to drag this on to last name. And then my third field is date of birth. So I'm going to say the date, it's a date value or null, because in this use case, I'm okay with null values. If you're not okay with null values, you just select the date and then you'll be fine. So now when I click OK for here, what's going to happen is when I debug this, you'll see that it goes through. And when I look at my inputs and outputs, you see that this sheet went through my people Excel data. And then what I have on the output is the data that I provided from the Excel spreadsheet. So this is the process that converts the file to a data type. But the thing you need to remember at this part, Dennis, is we haven't stored any data in our data structure. It merely just puts that data in memory. What we'll have to do is we'll have to use a for each step, pass in that the outputs of the defined people, and then I need to go to my user defined type for my database structure right here, go to people, and then I need to create the people for every single record that I have. Or if you don't want to do the loop way, you can also use a save entity step. Save entities. You probably only will need to be doing this step once because you just need to get the data inside decisions. And then if I say people, now I have a list of entities and I say, hey, grab outputs. All right, perfect. So I answered 2 of your 3 questions. You had 3 questions in that one. The first question was, how do I utilize the external truth table, not using the file, which we said use a data structure. In this case, use a database structure. Second, we answered, how do I convert my file data then into that said data structure to use? And then now what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you, how do I create an action that allows me to edit certain records of that data structure? Or let's say I need to add more or remove some. And we're going to talk about that. So we've already created the external truth table. We've already created the converter flow that will convert my data and actually create records from it. Now we're going to talk about what if I want to add or update or modify those records in the truth table. So let me go ahead and create this. So I create this data. So now it's in my data structure. When I go into my external truth table, you should see now I have 2 records here. Right? And you can kind of see that faded out. The reason why it's faded out is because I haven't really attached an output data to it from my Excel spreadsheet. If I did, I can do that real quick, just so you guys can see. I'm going to say for whatever reason, my last name is going to be the output or what have you. Can I say match file report change? Actually, I forgot. I should be able to do last name. Oh, I know why, because it's not a string. Okay. I'm going to make this a string, and then I can be able to pick. And I'm just doing this. This is not really how you would, I wouldn't use the last name here for the output. I'm just merely setting up this way so I can show you the clarity of the view. So see, now I have, okay, like, hey, If it's less than this, I'll put, the last name, right? Obviously, our data would be more intuitive, that produces a result, but I just wanted you to see that my data is here. Now, if I want to remove, or let's say I don't really care about having Jared, in this record, I just want Will. So now what I can do is, this is going to go into the part where you have to understand configuration folders. And Will, if you can go to like YouTube, I think there's a great YouTube video on configuration folders, and if you can post that here for everyone in the chat, that'd be great. Basically, what the configuration folder is it allows you, Dennis, to have those actions you're talking about, to create, select, and delete. How we do that is in my data structure. Because I'm using a database structure, and I'll kind of go into a little bit over documentation, decisions, understanding the difference. Boom, you're awesome, Will. Thanks for that. Understanding things like difference, I think that's what it's called. Understanding difference. Yeah, here we go. Difference between data structures. So anytime you want to have what we call, like in like traditional coding, behaviors, when we look for, I think it's because you got you missed the folder part. That's funny. Thanks for that catch, Vladimir. Boom. There we go. Now that one should work. So going back to Dennis's question, whenever you want to have like behaviors, things like someone to delete, someone to create, someone to edit, that happens when you utilize a data structure that has what we call a configuration folder. And there's only a handful, or a little more than a handful, maybe half of the data structures we have create one by default. This one, the database structure, has one, it's just not by default. So what that means is, if I wanted to have behaviors to do the situation that Dennis is in, what I need to create is, I need to say, hey, on this database structure, I think we're going to be updating this UI, but you have to click on this little sliver of white space right here. You have to left click this, and now you have the option to enable actions. And once you enable actions, that's going to give you that configuration folder. So, okay, I'm going to save this, and so you can see what I'm talking about. So now I have this people configuration folder. And what this configuration folder allows me to do is, I can create, edit, update, delete. So I can create flows that are only utilized for this specific data type, that will allow me to have those behaviors. So if I go to user actions, and I'm going to say, hey, this is, remove record from, truth table is what I'm going to call this. So I'm going to create. Then I'm going to get my delete step from my user-defined types. Whenever you create a user-defined type, all of your delete, create, edit, update steps will be in this category. Since I used the database structure, I have to go here. If I created an entity, I would go here, and so on and so forth. Whichever one you created, that's the category you go to. So when I go to database structures, I have my people, and I have this delete step. Now, all I need to do, the reason why we like these user action flows, is I'm going to click on my data explorer to the left right here. You'll notice that I already have this entity, which is the data structure people. So what this means is, when I create this flow, I don't have to fetch the record first, because it's already here. And how does that, and so just to give you a hint on how this helps because what I can do is, now instead of using a fetch entity step to fetch the record I want and filter through the thing that I need, get the thing that I want, all I have to do now is, hey, because I already know that these user action flows, or any flows or rules created in the configuration folder, will have that data type as a default input. Now, all I need to do is select from flow, go to the entity, and grab the ID. And that's it. And anytime I want to interface with data, I just grab that entity variable. So now, if I go ahead and then delete that, and let's say I'm looking at my data, right? I'm going to create a report too, because I'm assuming you'll have some type of report that you view for this. So report, people, data. User defined types, database structures, people, and then first name, all that stuff, right? So now, when I run this, I think I can run this, right? I have my action, remove record from truth table. And so when I remove record from truth table, and now I close this, and if I go back in my external truth table, boom, that record no longer exists. Likewise, if I do the opposite and I create one for adding, my truth table will just keep expanding for as many records as it needs to, to make the evaluation. So that's kind of, so I know it's kind of a little long-winded, but that's the way to answer your question, because you had 3 prongs. It was, one, how do I use the external truth table to not use just the file? Second, how do I convert my file data into a decision data type? And then third, how do we create actions that allow us to manipulate or update or change the records in their outputting? So did I answer your question?
So yeah, you
Great.
did.
Mhm.
So you cannot do this with regular truth table where I can load one time.
You load one time? No, that's why we have an external truth table. Because with that one, you have to, if you wanted to do it that way with decisions, then that what you would have to do there is you have to like use a lot of the internal services steps to manually automatically create the tables. But that's why we do that here. Now,
So you don't have
go
like
ahead.
a process where I can just take an input file and then just like how you ran the first process to load the table, right?
Yeah, this
That
part.
step. Yeah. So there is no way I can load to a truth table from here.
No, so first off, you have to get the data first. If you're talking about, so there's 2 separate things. The truth table is sourced from that data structure data, but that's different from uploading it. The data has to either exist in the file or in a data structure and decisions for it to read the rule evaluations. So you will have to create a flow of some sort that does this, or one other thing you can do is in the data structure that you will have to create of whatever it is, you can, in here, you can import and export data from a CSV. And that may be a faster method that you can utilize if you don't want to create that flow that does the CSV to object conversion and saving all the entities.
Well, the whole thing is, I mean, I can configure all this, right? So, but basically what I'm trying to achieve is create a regular truth table. I think we talked about this during training, just regular truth table, right? I'm going to load that. It's only one-time job to load 6,000 records or whatever that is, right?
Correct, yeah.
After that, I just have to manage those records. So and I think the truth table kind of gives us that capability of managing those records easily. But all of this, like I have to go through like 5 different steps to just achieve that one simple thing that we are trying to achieve per se.
For importing the data, yeah, well, the data's got to be in decisions for it to reference it.
And that's external truth table, right?
Yeah, and so you'd have to like another way you could do it, but then you have the issue of the file thing, right? So if I added the truth table, I can remove this data source, and I can say, hey, I want to do it from, I think there's like a file upload. Where's the file? Yeah. Right, there's let me type CSV. Here you go. And then I can just upload a file and do it that way. But then you're managing a CSV file, right? So you would have to do this regardless because it's wherever your data is located. So since it's in a file, once you put it in decisions, then it's just you're manipulating the data via the user actions. So you're still getting the behavior you want with the external truth table, and it's better.
Okay. Is it possible to like request an enhancement to just load data to truth table? Regular truth table, just one-time load or something like that?
Well, you can. That's this. That's the CSV to upload. Right. That's where you loaded it just one time.
But that's external truth table, right? Not just regular truth table.
But I think what you want from your use case, Dennis, is this, because the truth table doesn't give you a way to manage it. It's an easier manage on here, right?
Well, it's so if I do this, then there is no way for me to manage. I mean, I have to keep updated version of Excel or different data source outside to manage it, right? Basically. So if I want to add, remove, update, I have to upload a news.
Sure, but like, so you can also do it from an integration as well. So like, is that data from an Excel coming from an external database like Snowflake or something of that effect?
Yeah.
because then you can just create an integration and then populate it here. That's also a simpler way to do that.
Well, it's one-time load into decisions. Once we load into decisions, we are going to remove that database objects per se.
Gotcha.
Right.
So then
that's the whole gist.
Gotcha. So then I would
I
advise
mean, the process that you just walked through, that makes sense actually, because now I can use the report to add and remove tables, right? Add and remove data to those but I have to create all this, I have to enable all of this different steps in order to do that.
Sure.
But if you create the regular truth table, you'll see like you can just if I can load that regular truth table with whatever 100 records, and then I can just have users just manage it using that.
Yeah, but that's what you could do. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, because that's what you're doing with the external truth table. Sure, you have to create like a 2-step flow, but then your data's in there. It's that's that one time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could definitely put in a feature request for you to like just file Excel into the truth table. I'll propose that to the devs. From my history of knowing the external truth table, is that's why we created the external truth table. So you do a one-time load, then you can show this to business users, create a dashboard with a report, and then they can say, hey, I want to add a record for Jared for insurance or whatever, right? Then they can do that there. So.
Okay. Can you? I know this has been recorded, right? Can you send me this recording once you guys are done?
Yeah, we'll do.
Awesome. Thank you very much for covering this.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's great seeing you again.
Yeah, same.
All right. Anyone else? Who else has a question? Go ahead. I'm going to allow you to talk, Vladimir. If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Thank you very much. I have a truth table with the two columns. Let's say that call it category A, category B. I'm supposed to get there are in the category in the first column. Let's say I have a 4A, 4Bs, and 4Cs, and then the second category, second column, category B, I have like A1, AB, A1, A2, and so on, and B1, B2, B3, and I'm supposed to get the payload from the API that will analyze the payload, and I will get multiple A answers and multiple B answers and multiple answers, and based on that I will get the scoring. And need to find the highest number from that answer and provide that back to in API. And I try to use the input variables as a list, but then it all then all the list was tried to use in once in one answer, so I didn't get the match.
Gotcha. So you're trying to basically, just boiling down your use case, you just have a truth table that needs to output the highest number that it gets based on from a API package.
Yeah, but there are multiple answers and both on the right.
Yeah, and you only want one that's right?
No. Yeah, the highest number, but there is a set of answers A, B, C, D, and I can get multiple A's, and B's, and multiple C's, and everything's in one truth table.
Yeah. So and I thought you said the issue you're having is that it's you have multiple things that could return true, right? It's not returning the first one, or like the one that's necessary. So here's what we would do in a truth table. So let's say I want to try to build this one. So we'll do example normal truth table, right?
Mhm.
Let's see. So this is going to be, oh, so let's do, was it string data? Let's do string data. All right, and so you have one that could equal, right? Are you using equals or contains? I'm assuming
Is,
equals. Oh, contains, okay.
is I'm using if it's a
Oh,
string.
is, okay, sure. Me at is, sure. Is, and so we got multiple A's or something
No, no,
right
no,
here.
no, no. 1A at the row.
Oh, you said 1A like this?
No, no, no. The A, put another A right on next to it, down there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and another A.
Mm-hmm.
Put a B,
Mm-hmm.
one more B.
Yep.
Okay, that's that
Another
would
B.
have that, and now second column. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I gotcha. I'll delete this one. Boom. And then you said second column.
And there will be like A1, A2.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So you're then looking at, so are you evaluating the same data element?
Technically, it's a string, but
So you're evaluating two separate strings. So string data 2, right?
an output is a number, so you can put also.
Sure. Integer.
Mhm.
All right. So string data 2 is, and so what was you said here is A1,
For example, yeah, as a
and this
string.
one's A2,
Mhm.
and this is, so what what is the behavior you're looking for with this
Yeah.
truth table? Because this is, so let me explain to you what the truth table will do with, so this is saying if string data 1, or in this case string data,
Mhm.
is A, and if string data 2 is A1, it will output this number, right?
Mhm.
And let's say this number is, I don't know,
Mhm.
1, and we'll just kind of keep going up.
Mhm.
2, 3, 3, 4, and then we'll say this is B1, B1, B2, right? So
Mhm.
now what's going to say is string data is, so basically if these two pieces of data, if string data is A and string data 2 is A1, then output 1. If
Mhm.
string data A is A and string data 2 is A2, then output 2. So
Yeah, and
based on this, go ahead.
but I can get multiple answers. So I will get with the payload A1 and A2, and I need to decide what is the high score, and so I kind of get multiple values in the string data. For example,
Mm-hmm.
A is
Sure.
A will be A1 and A2. I need to decide from the second and from the first and second row which one is higher, and then for B it could be only one answer, and everything's gonna be sent in one payload.
So you're not using an is, you're using like an is between or something, like you're checking if a value is between something.
Mm,
Because the only way, so and maybe this would be something I would submit a support ticket over, because I'm
uh-huh.
not really understanding the use case. Because with this, how I've set up this truth table, there's
Mhm.
only one answer I can get. So if
Yeah.
I do A and A1 or A2, right? You can see right here, I'm always only going to get one answer.
Mhm.
So that means that we may need to refactor that truth table that you have to output 1, or what you can do is if I run this truth table in a flow, so we'll say this is like another test flow.
Mhm.
Run truth table.
Technically, may I split those A's and B's in separate truth tables?
I mean, you could, but in my truth table, like I can have them all there. But what I'm suggesting, what you can do is, since the truth table by default, right, it's going to give me a list
Mhm.
of data, right?
Mhm.
And so now, let's see, and this is just A1. So this, if I had a truth table that returned multiple, results, right?
Mhm.
It would return those numbers. Now, let me just edit my truth table just so that can be seen. So let's say this is A1 and this one's 5, right? So now I got 2 results, right? So now I'm gonna have 2 results returned from those things because I have 2 areas in this truth table. Boom, boom. Now you'll see here, right? 1 and 5. Now
Mhm.
let's say I'm going to orient my truth table in such a way where I only get it to return 1 result. So what
Mhm.
I can do is in the advanced category, I can say, hey, instead of returning all matches, return the first match only or the
I need a
last
higher
match only.
match. I need a higher match.
You need the higher match.
Yeah, I need a higher number. So let's say
So
1 and
so
5 is the output, and I need to get that 5.
so you need to get that 5. So then it all goes into the orientation of your truth table. So then what I can do is I want the last match. And then what that's going to do is it's going to return 5, right? Or what I can do is I can say, hey, let me orient my truth table to where like I know I'm going to get 5 more often than 1, right? So let me go ahead and move this one. I can move this up
Mhm.
all the way to the higher execution.
Mhm.
And then now, no matter what, it'll always check that criteria first. And so now when I debug this, I'm actually gonna get 1 now.
Yeah, I'm afraid this is not gonna work because I created the report. I loaded a CSV, and the truth table is gonna be feed from that report. And there is high possibility that super user who will have access to that can reorder or can add the values differently.
Mm-hmm. You can also another thing you can also do is you can also use rule sets as well.
Mhm.
And it sounds like you would be in a great situation to use a rule set to get the higher number where you process the data and then you
Mhm.
get a score. So for example, yeah, and I think you saw Vitali's comment where if you create a truth table, I mean not truth table, a rule set, right? And I say
Mhm.
rule set. Let's see, my rule set, right? And then what I can do with this rule set is I can pass in whatever data I need to pass in, and I can
Mhm.
add rules, I can add truth tables, all that stuff. And
Mhm.
specifically, I can output a score.
Mhm.
And so I could say, hey, sum up the scores or what have you. And then when the rule set runs, you can evaluate, hey, which is the highest one, and you just get the max out of it.
Mhm.
Another thing you could do that I just thought of is on that another test is if
Mhm.
I get multiple answers and multiple hits, I can just say, hey, I want the max.
Mhm.
And then I pass in the list of integers, or in this case, I think it's a list of decimals.
Mhm.
I got to convert to decimal. Darn it. Don't you hate data types? All right, we'll do decimal. Fine.
This is what I'm facing the problems. I'm using an integer, but I'm always getting output in as a decimal, and then I kind of use that in another steps.
You can. No, you can still use another step. So we have different converters
Mhm.
that can be utilized in decisions for any quick like conversion. So like for example, it's super easy.
Uh,
I would just more switching it just so you can see how like if you're in a situation where you say, hey, I want to grab all of like I need the highest because I'm getting a result. This is another
the,
possible
mhm.
use for it.
The funny situation on that is that in the truth table I can have the score number sometimes is the same. Is it possible to share my screen? I prepared a sample table that can be also be visible to everybody. So
I don't think we can share screen
Mhm.
anymore because we'll be posting this on our YouTube channel just in case if you have confidential information. We don't do that.
There is
But
no confusion. It's just what I'm trying to show you that I've made something more complicated than 3. So okay, if you don't want to, then nothing.
yeah, unfortunately we can't. What you can do is I'll send you my email address.
Mhm.
And send me that, and if you can export that data,
Mhm.
I'll play around with it. There's my email address.
Mhm.
And I can configure it and show you my recommendations. And if it's something beyond my skill, I'll refer you to support because they can definitely help you out with designing something like that.
Million times, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, who else has a question? Oh, to go back to I think I didn't answer your other question you asked, Vlad, about the conversions. And if I have a data, let's see, this integer, I'm just gonna leave it string. We have default converters. Nope, it's not in string. Let's make it int. This is really just useful for everyone, is that you can say run converters, and we have default converters to convert string to decimal and 32 to decimal or what have you. And then you can also create your own converter to convert any data types that you can just reuse. So we have a lot of them out of the side of the box, and some of them, all that stuff.
And if I want to convert that in the middle of the process, for example, I've got the decimal from the truth table.
You can convert if you want. Yeah.
So I output.
Well, it doesn't have to be on the red end step. You could do, I meant to do it on the create. You can do it on even flow steps as well. So like test, string. The key thing is that anytime you have this input mapping, converters gives you all the stuff that you can utilize to, convert, and it's data type specific.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, Alex, go ahead. I'm gonna allow you to talk and go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, hi there. I'm I'm creating a dashboard over the assignments data type, where basically it filters allowing the current logged on person to see any assignments that belong to any of their employees.
Okay.
And so now I want to be able to right click and complete that assignment. And I'm just not sure how to go about doing that. Like in the sense that like there's a running flow out there somewhere that stops on an assignment form, and it's popped up an assignment in a user's inbox, so to speak, and they can go in and they can right click on that assignment to say approve. But if I want to be able to do the approval and have the flow continue from where it is, I'm kind of curious as to how that takes place.
Gotcha. It should just allow you to, and I could be wrong on that. Let me create a really quick test case to. I just need this. All right. So assignment data source. Oh, current user filter. Assignment filters assigned to me. Are you doing assigned to me? Yeah, you're doing assigned to me, I think, right?
No, I'm showing all of the assignments that are in my kind of hierarchy. So any of my employees that have outstanding assignments on this.
I got you. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay. So assigned to a group specified, and let's say you're part of that group, right?
I will actually, I mean, I actually use a recursive function to figure out who is in my group. So it's not really group based. I just figure this out with a rule filter in the report.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So you just use the rule filter
to filter out the ones that I can see. But now that I can see them, I'm just curious how I complete it in such a way that the flow continues down its merry path.
Interesting. So you basically, so basically you're trying to be, even if the assignment's not assigned to you, you want to be able to complete that assignment.
Correct.
Interesting. Because I don't know. This is a cool test. Hold on. This is interesting. I'm going to, let's see, test language. Sure. I'm going to, so let's say I create some, because I think I understand what you're talking about. So I'm going to go, let me create a new account in my system because I don't have another account. So I'm going to say this is Jared at decisions.com. Oops. Decisions.com. This is. And then I'm just gonna make this admin just for temporarily. So I'm gonna create a bunch of, let's see. All right, cool. Now I got this. Now what you're doing is you created test. I'm gonna say more assignments, please. So now I have an add task step. Hit create. Nope, let's just do a new one. Create new. No, I don't want simple. Assignment fun. And then we're going to just have a checkbox as a button. Very simple. This is going to be, I did it. No, no, go back. Arg. No, it's ruined. I did it, and then button. All right, so now the thing that you're trying to do is we have this here. More assignments, please. Yes, unlock it, please. And so I'm going to run this. I'm actually going to assign this to Jared. It's going to create the same situation. Test. And then pick existing, recent, assignment fun. Boom, boom. And so now I'm going to run this. And I think I said it's to Jared, right? Yep, this is Jared. So what you can do is now I'm going to say run. And so now if I have a normal folder, this is going to be assignments overview at root. And then I create a report here over assignments, which I think I already did preemptively. Assignment report, entity name test, and completed by, let's put all that stuff there just so we can see that information. So basically, what's the problem is that you don't see that action because because that assignment is not assigned to you. That's the real reason why it's not allowing you to complete it. So if I go, I'm gonna create a page first, that's what I'm doing. Page, and it's gonna be assignment DB dboard. And we'll just do a report viewer real quick. And assignment report. And then we'll do right assignments overview. Add this to a dashboard, pick page, save, and I go back to here. And so you want to be able to work it. Do you have, because I know by default you can change the assignment, and if I add myself right here, Citizen.com, I can change, and then I think now I have the ability to do that. And I can change the assignment. So that's one way you can do it. Are you looking for a more automated way, or like a, because it's built into decisions that you can't work an assignment that's not assigned to you unless you force it to be assigned to you.
So basically, you're saying that this is a two-step process in this particular case, where changing the assignment effectively adds your username to the all assignments column in the assignment data structure, and that allows you to work it, and that gives you the test thing.
Yeah, so if I
Yes.
right click here and I say change assignment, and I could say assign to me, then that's what could do this. Now you can make this more streamlined and so for example, this may be something to talk to an architect about. We do have a way in decisions where, let me go into, I'm going to rename this because it's driving me crazy. And this is going to be assignment tests. Is you can say, hey, I want to actually have more capability over the assignments. And so what you can do is you can create yourself a configuration extension on the assignment data type.
Yeah, so I've already done that. So that's so I have my right-click event, but I just don't know what to do in the right-click event that will allow me to complete the assignment in a way that it continues on its merry way from a flow point of view.
So you're saying you don't know like what steps to use within this flow, essentially?
Yeah, so I mean, once I have my my configuration extension on the assignments data type, I basically create a user action called override, and in the override thing, I guess basically what I seem to need to do from what I'm getting is I need to add myself into all assignments and then
so basically there's a step inside, I think it's in the assignment service. Let's go into here. Into integration, internal services, assignment. And I believe you can say, hey, add assignment. Let's see, what was this one say? Add assignment. Nope, not that one. Oh, let's add priority. I want to say add assignment for user. Right, you can get the assignment ID, the identifier, and what is this? This is account ID. Okay, there we go. So then what you would do is you can use your email address, and this you can select from flow and grab current user email. And then this would, and then you, in that flow, you have the assignment ID. And so your right click flow will automatically change the assignment ID, and then you can just say, work the assignment. And I believe there's another step that you can utilize here for that. And so you can have it as one swift kind of just right click action, then it appears for you. How can someone? So I believe that would be the way to go about this.
Okay. So is there, I guess there must be like a complete assignment step in here somewhere.
Yes, there should be. Let's go to all the way to, there's change assignment, which that could be, that's the easy one. There is set assignment, save, complete, search assignment. I'm also going to search over here, complete. Just search for assignment, but yes. Assignments, signed out users have more assignments. That's all. Nope, that's just all that stuff. Let's see. You can't. Yeah.
Okay,
Not
so
sure.
I can scratch around a
Yeah.
little bit. So
There's yeah. I just wanted to make sure that it's a good safe alternative, because I think I could be wrong on this. So don't quote me on it. I'm asking on my team chat right now because I just want to confirm. I think you can say, hey, once you get the assignment object, you can say, hey, I just want to save entities and change that property on that assignment and pass it into a save entity step. Because what that does is then it overwrites it and saves that record with the completed checkbox checked. But I think the problem is I don't know if that runs that flow. And that's why I was concerned about recommending that avenue. But yes.
Yeah, so looking at your flow here, this is the assignment thing. I've got a ton of steps after this guy. So, I want to make sure that when the assignment completes by whoever completes it, it continues on and does all the other stuff that, I'm kind of expecting.
Exactly.
And so another option, if I understand correctly, is on the assignment form itself, there's a way to add some additional output that I can actually then poke through internal services. Is that my memory serving me correctly there?
Kind of, yeah. So basically with the internal services, it allows you to have steps to manipulate like the assignment table and some other like internal tables and decisions.
No, but if you look at the assignment setup on the assignment form here, like there's a way to add an additional output, no? If I recall correctly?
An additional I mean, that would just be on the form, like whatever run flows that I have on this path. I might be misunderstanding what you're referring to.
No, I have a vague memory because it's been a while that you have your buttons on the form which produce outputs, but there's also something in the configuration of the assignment itself which allows you to
yeah. You're talking about specifying escalations where you run certain flows and stuff like that. Because that allows you to which one? I think it's
no, it's not these. It basically it creates another output path.
Yeah, like here, like the assignment, like this thing, right? Assignment timeout.
Right. Okay. But
yeah.
Is there one that is customizable?
Yeah, there's also an autocomplete one that if I add this one, that also I think gives you another.
Okay, and then from within integration services, I'd be able to manipulate these. Like I could ask the form to complete itself down a specific path, kind of thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I thought give me a stuff to start with. That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. All right. We got 3 minutes. One more question. No worries. Could you share the link? Yep. Well, I'll make sure that our this will be posted on our YouTube channel. So I'll make sure that it gets sent out to you guys. So yep, but we'll make sure it's available.
When do you think it will be available?
Maybe like 5, 10, 15 minutes afterwards. It all depends on how long Zoom mixes and downloads. So I don't think it's that
Okay.
long, but it should be relatively quick.
Yeah. Awesome, because I need to use some of those concepts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
All right. So it sounds like okay. Well, okay. Then since I think everyone's questions are answered, I'll go ahead and end the call so that we can get the recording mixed, and I'll make sure I have the admin assistant go ahead and send that to y'all. All y'all, thank you so much for attending. Tomorrow, I think it's Thad from the support team. He'll be hosting the Lunch and Learn. So if you have questions for him, he can definitely help you. All right, guys.
Great.
Take care.
Bye.